Firstly, hello from New Zealand, and I really wish I could be there with you today, but unfortunately not. And hello, Tom. Hope you had a good journey over. I'm going to just say a few things about the projects that we've been doing in product design at Unitech using Web2 tools, and what I'm going to say will actually relate to what's written in the paper, which hopefully you'll read or have read already, but if not, hopefully you'll read after this. And if I talk through some of those things now and you read them later, hopefully it'll just help to make things a little bit clearer. My role, I'm Associate Professor in Design in the Faculty of Creative Industries and Business. Been working with Tom now for about 3 years, maybe a bit more than 3 years, using Web2 tools, and over the last year and a half moving into the mobile Web2. I teach into the third year of the bachelor's degree, which is a 3-year degree, and I also teach into the first year, which is exciting. So the two projects which are in the paper that you've got, one that I was involved with is a third-year project, and one was a first-year project. But I suppose really overall what I want to say here is about what I think using Web2 tools and technologies have actually done to my teaching, and also to the engagement or the increased engagement factor from the students. And that is an overwhelming, there is an overwhelming feeling of much greater engagement from the students. And it's not just a feeling, it's actually evident in the work that they've produced. So let's talk about the first year quickly. The first year students did a project which would have been a paper-based project, which is a core course on the history of design. And this year what I did with them, last year what I did with them was I got them to use a blog to actually record the notes, the research that they did after each of the weekly lectures, and also a series of other mini projects that led up to the final assessment of their history paper. And actually I asked them to visit certain places like museums, and to visit designers, and to look at designed artifacts, and to record them using the tools that the smartphone actually has inbuilt. Also to interview a designer or a curator or a gallery owner, and to load that to their blogs, but also to use geotagging to show us where the interviews or the photographs were taken. But moving on to actually the interaction between the students, the peer-to-peer support, because the students were required through their assessment to post at least once a week, and the students themselves were supporting each other through the sharing of information and knowledge that they were amassing over the weeks. And I was commenting and reading the blogs on a weekly basis using an RSS feeder to make sure what was going on at the time. So that meant that there was an opportunity for me to give them ongoing feedback, but also for their fellow peers to give them ongoing feedback as well. The rich nature of the blogs meant that the final hand-in of the project at the end, which was obviously digital, was far richer for the viewer, but also for the learner in terms of the content that was embedded within that blog, something which would have been not possible to create in a paper-based scenario. But I think also it's worth saying here that what's very important is for the student to feel excited by undertaking what could essentially be a very dry paper, the history of design. And it's certainly not unknown for students to design students to almost disappear from the lectures in the past and to run away from the assignments in the past. But in 2009 we had an overwhelming success, which I attribute to the use of the new tools, technologies, and the social constructivist approach. The third year project was different. The third year project was a project that was run across a number of different departments, 4 different departments and 3 different faculties, but all at Unitec, and some external stakeholders as well. So it was landscape architecture, design, building and communication. And they all had their parts to play in a project which was around the designing and building of a sustainable house. So what was interesting about this was the ability to get students together, but in the virtual world rather than face-to-face all of the time. Timetabling, clashes, staff clashes as well as student clashes in terms of being able to get together, but also the general, I suppose, unwillingness for students to come together from different departments, which is something we face. Maybe you in your own institutions won't, but we face that primarily because we have such a big campus and it's actually quite difficult to navigate around it. So using Ning in this case, social networking site Ning, we found that it was a fantastic way of getting all the students working together on a project, when actually in the 6 months that they worked on the project they probably only met 2 or 3 times for social occasions and not actually for meetings. Everything was done online. So probably that project wouldn't have been able to happen if we hadn't used these tools, but more importantly we wouldn't have again got that rich nature of peer-to-peer feedback and the density of information that was available to all of the team members at any one time, because of the the repositories on the Ning site that were constantly being updated and were available to everyone to learn from. Hopefully that's not been too long, 7 minutes 43 seconds. Tom will probably cut a bit out, but anyway, hope that the conference is going very well, and thank you for your attention.